What's up, everybody? This is Jason, and I went to the Goodwill today. And normally, I'm not really buying physical media right now because I'm trying to thin my collection and have done a heck of a job this past year. So when I went to the Goodwill today, I really was looking for not physical media, just probably just poking around, kind of like in Dawn of the Dead, you're just like a zombie just walking around through the store, see anything catches your eye. However, today being, all right, maybe this was yesterday. Now that I think about it, maybe it was yesterday. I don't get my days confused. It was their 50% off day, or because it's the first Saturday of the month. So yes, today I went to some flea markets and antique stores, but this was from yesterday. So it all runs together. I've been on vacation for the last almost week, so everything's unfortunately coming to an end starting tomorrow. Back to the thing called work. But anyways, I was just kind of walking around yesterday looking for something to do. Had some downtime, and I saw that they had everything when the store was 50% off. It's the first Saturday of the month, as I was saying a moment ago, or whatever it was. And so I went through the physical media, and they had a huge VHS selection. So everything was half off of $1. And then when I got to the register, I had a $5 off coupon or something like that. So I bought everything here for like $20, $22 with tax or something. And so I'll probably be flipping most of it. I just thought I'd just go over just what I picked up. Some of the stuff I'd never seen or heard of, and that's what I love about VHS a lot of times, is that it's stuff that you never see or hear about anymore. I think one thing I've noticed recently, and I do stream stuff on time to time, but you know, it doesn't have the same power, and also you have to really the artwork on a thumbnail on Tubi or on Hulu or on Netflix or whatever. You know, it really has to catch your eye because, you know, there's thousands and thousands of things you can look at in a matter of just minutes. So for me, unfortunately, the artwork is so generic now, unlike a VHS. I really have to read the synopsis of what it is supposed to be. I find myself going back to a lot of genre stuff, a lot of cult stuff, a lot of documentaries. That's one of the things I really find myself really wanting to watch nowadays, because a lot of the modern day horror movies and genre cult movies or whatever kind of suck, to be quite honest. They try to, it's just like it's real generic, you know, thumbnail that they try to get you to watch the movie, and it just doesn't do anything for you. So anyways, with that being said, the whole of the video, let's get into the movies. It's already been 3 minutes. First up is Against a Crooked Sky with Richard Boone. So, never heard of this movie before, but it looks to be somewhat interesting. It was made in 1976. It says he faced the ultimate test of courage. So there's that. This one here I would have never even heard of, but this came out must have been like the mid to late 90s, maybe even 2000. It says 1998. Kill the Man with Luke Wilson. I'm trying to look if there's anybody else in here. That's Michael McKean is in here, and Terry Garr. They both have, I guess, small roles in this. So, anyways, I've never heard of it, but it looks like it's a Office Space ripoff. So, it says all over America, giant corporate mega stores are wiping out the little guys. So, there you go. Next up is Arizona Bushwhackers. Right here, this one has Howard Keel and Yvonne DiCarlo. Now, Yvonne DiCarlo, you might be wondering, that name sounds familiar. That is Lily Munster from back in the Munster days. And I believe Howard Keel says here, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, yes. And John Ireland is also in here. So there you go. Never seen that. I got this one just because it's something unusual. This is, of course, the Rudolph, Frosty, and Friends sing-along. But if you notice here at the top, it says this was released by the United States Postal Service. And I was like, what? That's unusual. And that's the one thing I love about VHS. There were so many promotional tie-ins with VHS from back in the day that you just don't see nowadays. Because most, you know, big box stores, most corporations, most restaurants, and fast food and businesses do not do physical media tie-ins. But back in the 80s and the 90s, it was all the rage. McDonald's and Burger King and USPS and just anything under the sun, Disney and everything else would do all kind of promotional tie-ins using VHS and DVD to a lesser degree, but definitely VHS. And here, this was still sealed. I thought this was kind of cool. This is MASH, still sealed right here. This is the Frank's in Charge from the Columbia House edition. So this was released by Columbia House. So there you go. I just thought it was cool, sealed. It has Indianapolis on here, which I thought was cool. Right here, it says Indianapolis. Well, there you go, right there. It says Indianapolis. I thought that was cool. That's where I live. So that was really cool. So next up, now the rest of those are just kind of the ones I was kind of those will probably end up going on eBay. All those can sell up to $25 to $8. Some of them maybe a little bit more. I usually start almost all my auctions off at a quarter. We'll see. I'm not too worried about it. Next up is Body Puzzle with Joanna Pacula. Never heard of it. But again, this is like that kind of stuff I was telling you about, the boxes that catches your attention. So here on the back, you have a nice long blade. And it says, he won't quit until he gets the final piece. Wah, wah, wah. So there you go. When you have stuff like this, dude, you cannot go wrong. So Body Puzzle. Next up, Whore. That's right. Whore. It's right. This is by Teresa Russell in a Ken Russell film. Ken Russell, very, very notorious director. This rated version contains material different from the original rated theatrical release. So this is a more of an unrated version. Engrossing, riveting flip side to Pretty Woman. Whoa. So there you go. The 80s, just like now, in the 90s, just like now is if something hits big, then there is a huge push to release all kinds of movies that are Z grade level sometimes to try to capitalize on the name or the genre or the hot thing in the Hollywood. And so here you have, instead of Pretty Woman, they went with Whore. Is there anybody in this movie that is a recognizable name other than Ken Russell? No. But with a title like that, you definitely know it's going to be good stuff. Next up, I thought this was hilarious. It says a video exclusive, never before seen on television. This is Baywatch the movie, Forbidden Paradise. 90-minute feature, never before seen on TV. So here you got Pam Anderson, Adriana Paul, Yasmin Bleeth, and of course David Hasselhoff. And every red-blooded American male was all about, Baywatch back in the day because David Hasselhoff was so hot. No, because of Pam Grier and the girls that would do the slow down of them running across the beach. Next up is a movie I think I have heard about before but never had seen. It's called Black Robe. This is one of the best films of the year. Remarkable. The picture is a triumph. Winner of 6 Genie Awards. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography. The Canada's version of the Oscar. Let's take a look here. If there's anybody in here that catches my eye. No one. There's a guy named Tattooed Cardinal. There's a name for you. Just never heard of it. Maybe this looks familiar. Let's see here. In the winter of 1634, an extraordinary man begins a perilous journey into North American wilderness. So, there you go. So, this looks like it has some promising, interesting topics here. So, I'm very interested in this movie, Black Robe. The one good thing about VHS, guys, is that, and DVD and Blu-ray and all that, for physical media in general, but one good thing about VHS, what I was getting ready to say is that some of the stuff doesn't end up on Blu-ray or DVD or now 4K. They just don't put them out there because it has a smaller appeal. And a lot of these boutique companies who really focus on hard to find movies or kind of rare gems, they have to make it work. It's all about selling units. How many units can they sell? If there's not enough people, they think there's going to be interested in Black Robe. This might be on DVD times 500. I have no idea. But let's say there's not very much of an audience for this. You're not going to find it anywhere else. You're going to have to get on VHS, or they might be on streaming services. But again, with streaming services, this is a good point. So let's say Black Robe has some modern day 2022 now sensibilities that don't jive with when this movie came out in the 80s, or if it's subject matter and historical matter and they don't think it's appropriate, they may cut it out of a digital movie, or they might cut it out if it's on a streaming service, or they may alter it, or they may put like a warning in front of the movie before you watch it to tell you it may cause a trigger because he might depict people in a not a positive light. Instead of just let the art speak for itself, and you as an adult or whatever can decide to watch it or not watch it or turn it off. So it's nice to get movies in any form that's in physical media where it will not be altered. And you'll hear me talk a lot about that over on this channel in my past videos. Next one up is An Affair to Remember. It's still sealed. It has, this is Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr, still sealed. It's a really big deal to have that showing here that has been sealed, hasn't been touched and tore apart, so that's good. So I'm always a big fan of getting anything sealed. If you still get the movie sealed and the movie is now 30 plus years old, at least on VHS form, that's pretty cool. This is pretty rare one here. I was shocked that I found this one. I don't know if it's on DVD or any other form. I could be wrong about this, but this is if I'm not mistaken, this is let me double check. I believe this is a Francis Ford Coppola joint. This is Rumblefish. This is something I don't think I've ever seen in the wild. This is I believe, pretty rare. It says Rusty James can't live up to his brother's reputation. His brother can't live it down. Francis Ford Coppola presents Rumblefish. So he didn't direct it, but he presented it. So Matt Dillon, Mickey Rourke are two of the main stars. Diane Lane is in here. Nicolas Cage is in here. Dennis Hopper. I mean, come on now. That's a who's who. That's a pedigree of actors and actresses. So Rumblefish is a movie that I have always wanted to watch. Excuse me. Had not yet to see. All right, next up is another one just because it was so ridiculous looking. Intruder. Or The Intruder. Somebody wants to kill her. No one on here, none of these names. Oh, Natasha Kinski, I recognize that name. But none of these other names. John Hannah, maybe? That name does sound somewhat familiar. But anyways, it says, for mature audiences only, contains nudity, violence, and adult situations. Ooh. I'm glad I made the cut. I'm glad I was old enough to buy it. I kind of was surprised that some of these films you're going to see me show, I'm kind of surprised that, they had them at the local Goodwill. But I ain't complaining. So here you go, The Intruder. Don't have much to say about it. We'll just have to take a watch of it later. Now this one here, I'd never even heard of before, and these two people in the same movie, tell me if you've seen this before, anybody's watched this, because I was surprised when I saw it. It says, Sex with the X. Famke Janssen and Jon Favreau, Love and Sex. Never heard of this movie before. Both of them are connected to the, Marvel Universe, shockingly. Jon Favreau was the first director of, Iron Man, I think the first couple Iron Man movies. And then he plays, Iron Man's, sidekick kind of like friend. I can't think of his name. Happy Hogan. And then Famke Janssen was Jean Grey in the X-Men universe. It says here starring Famke Janssen with the X-Men and Jon Favreau of Swinger. So Jon Favreau hadn't even done Iron Man before this movie came out, of course. So it's interesting. I have no idea about this, but it's interesting to see them both in this. Noah Emmerich's also in here. Sherry O'Terry's in this. So yeah, I'm interested to see this movie. If you all have seen this movie, let me know, because I'm definitely have interest in. This one here was another movie filled with people I've never would think to see in the same movie. The Joy Riders, not to be confused with Joyride. You have Martin Landau, you have Chris Christopherson. No direction, no rules, one gun. So I'm not for sure exactly what this is all about, but if you tell me Martin Landau's in it and it also has Chris Christopherson, I'm like, okay. So I don't know anything about this movie. Maybe, again, some of these movies I just got just for the pure fact that it's not something I've ever seen or even heard about. And then here's another typical, I think this is pretty much mid-90s, maybe early 90s. I mean, you can't go wrong when you got Michael Dudikoff and Tone Loc. Freedom Strike. Now, come on, dude. This was like an Iron Eagle ripoff. A mission for America becomes the ultimate battle for freedom. So, never mind. I thought I was going to say Felicity Huffman, but Felicity Waterman. So, guys, it looks like a straight-up Iron Eagle ripoff. Michael Dudikoff, if you all remember, he was I believe it was American Ninja movies from Canon that he was in for like years. I think there was 2 or 3 of those movies at least. Tone Loc from Ace Ventura Pet Detective fame, and also the Funky Cole Medina. So there you go. There's those. Let me put a couple of these in the bag so the stacks aren't going to get so big. Because I have one more bag to go through real quick. All right, next up is Cheech and Chong, and then the Things Are Tough All Over. Cheech and Chong Go Bananas. So there you go. Cheech and Chong Go Bananas. So again, a movie like this probably nowadays won't probably get made because you can only imagine the shenanigans that happened in that film. Just look at the back. Look, they're dressed up like Arabic people. I don't know, like somebody from Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you're gonna get away with that nowadays. So there you go. This is talking about Canon films. This is one other than Rumblefish. This is probably my top one that I found over there. I was super pumped. This cover is what I'm talking about. Covers from the 80s and the 90s just really blew you away. And let me just show it to you. Thunder Run. Look at that cover, guys. That is a epic cover, right? They got Forrest Tucker, John Ireland, John Shepard in this Canon release from Media Films. Super pumped. Oh my gosh. It says, Big Thunder, a 65-foot 18-wheeler war wagon of merciless high-tech destruction. Strap yourself in for the 200 miles of non-stop fast lane firepower. Doesn't that just get your blood boiling? Man, I'm super pumped about watching that movie. Next up, Wash It Up. So this is like a kind of like a car wash type ripoff from the 90s. I don't think there's anybody in this movie that I recognize whatsoever. Obviously, don't know anything about it. But again, a lot of these movies that came out in the 90s that are like black-centric films are really popular. One, because it's almost for sure not on any kind of other physical media. And two, it's a subgenre that's, kind of like a blaxploitation from the 70s. But it kind of picked up again in the 90s. You had a lot of black-centric movies and TV shows that were all over here in America that you just weren't seeing. It kind of, fell away again in the decades since. But you had a resurgence of a lot of shows and movies that were black-centric casts and shows. So that was a very popular thing. I have another one that's similar to that. Next up is Passion's Peak. Right here it says, Where Passion Soars. So, I don't know. Again, this is another one of those movies where I'm sure there's like nobody in here that who knows. But when you have things that says, Where's Passion Soars, don't you have to buy it? So, can't speak to it. But the company is called Eros. You already know. Next up is, there's like a series of these films from the 80s. I think there's at least maybe 3 or 4 of them. Angel. Right here you have her two worlds are about to collide. It's her choice, her chance, her life. High school honor student by day, Hollywood hooker by night. You can only get away with this stuff in the 80s, guys. I mean, seriously. I mean, come on, dude. Student by night, or by day, hooker by night. I mean, come on. And let me see, if there's anybody in here. No. Rory Calhoun, that name sounds somewhat familiar. Donna Wilkes is Angel. Oh my gosh, this cracks me up. When I look at that, it cracks me up. All right, next up, this is a Don Johnson and Virginia Madison joint. A film by Dennis Hopper, Hot Spot. Look at that. Who knows what this is about? When I saw this, just the pure fact that Dennis Hopper directed this movie, I was like, I'm watching, I'm buying it. But not only is that, you also have Jennifer Connelly in this. So Jennifer Connelly has to be pretty young in this, because this had to come out in 1990. So she's, I don't know how old she is at that point. But man, it is, this movie has all kinds of possible magic happening in here. Virginia Madsen, from Candyman fame, Jennifer Connelly, I mean, from everything. Career Opportunities, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff she's been in. And then Don Johnson, more like Don Juan. All right, next up, here's another one I was talking about, the more black-centric films. This one's called Tear It Down, Light It Up, and Tear It Down. And I don't think there's anybody in here that I recognize also. It says it's for mature audiences only. So there you go. It's called, from the company Two Left Shoes. This looks like a Jada Pinkett Smith knockoff here, like a poor woman's Jada Pinkett Smith. So who knows? We'll see. That guy does look somewhat familiar now that I'm looking at him. Richard Eden, maybe? Is that who it is? So, like I said, I'm a big fan of those like 90s movies that are real like 90s focused. And like a lot of those 90s black-centric movies are heavily on the 90s culture, especially hip-hop, urban culture, that you're not going to see in other movies. Like a lot of times you just don't see it. And the music that they show is music that you would not hear on the radio, but you would hear if you were into like hip-hop and rap and stuff from back in the 90s that you're not going to hear nowadays. So for me, it's worth getting that stuff to have access to it. You're not going to hear it anywhere else. Next up is Surf Ninjas. Leslie Nielsen, Ernie Reyes Jr., who also was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action. Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider's coming to Indiana, I think, here sometime soon for one of his comedic shows. I might take this to go get him, see he'll autograph it for me. But Leslie Nielsen, I mean, the dude from Naked Gun, William Gerler movies, Day of the Animals, like that. He also was in... he was in another one, I can't think of it all of a sudden. But anyways, I mean, you can't go wrong, dude, in this. Look at this. You have a young Rob Schneider in there with Ernie Reyes Jr. You got culturally appropriated Leslie Nielsen dressed like a samurai. It says, Surf's Up, time to save the world. It's a kids' action bonanza from the Evansville Courier. So they had to go all the way to Evansville, Indiana to get a tagline that says, it's a kids' action bonanza. Not from the New York Post, not from the Los Angeles Times, not from the New York Times, not from Chicago, whatever. From the Evansville Chronicles, or Courier, sorry. So there you go. And Tone Loc's in this too, yes. Tone Loc is in this. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. I've not seen that movie since whenever it came out. Next up is... Stay the Night. Starring Barbara Hershey and Jane Alexander. Ooh. The original unedited miniseries. So I'm super pumped about this as well. I'm a huge fan of Barbara Hershey. Don't know anything about it, but I think she's a great actress, so I'm really excited about it. It was apparently on TV, so I guess this was Too Hot for TV. Do you all remember back in the day everything was too hot for TV? Cops was too hot for TV. Jerry Springer was too hot for TV. Talking about what else is too hot for TV? Raw Justice. So this is another Pam Grier movie from Pam Grier. Oh my gosh. Pamela Anderson. Pam Grier, Pam Anderson, they look almost exactly alike. You can understand how one can get confused. So you have David Keith in here and Stacy Keach. So again, guys, the 80s and 90s are a beautiful time to be a fan of film because there are like well-established, like classic, wonderful actors who have careers that like, go the decades and have huge movies underneath their belts that are like quality cinema that will do a movie like Raw Justice with Pam Anderson. And you're just like, really? Stacy Keach is doing a movie like this? So, and the answer is yes. Kill or be killed. So, like David Keith, Officer and a Gentleman, the two Jakes, the Charles Napier's in this, who did The Silence of the Lambs in Philadelphia. It's unbelievable in here. So I'm just super pumped about it. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else in there. Nope. So anyways, I'm not going to not watch that. And then the last two, guys, thanks for hanging out. This one's called Dead in the Water. Now, the reason I got this was twofold. One was because I love Dominique Swain. I always thought she was super cute. She was always, in my opinion, like very, really cute. Definitely a girl from like the late 90s and the early 2000s. Now, the reason why I picked this up, aside from just that, was also this is a screener. And it has a trailer in here also that is not, screeners, if you don't know, are for the VHS, the local mom and pop stores only. They were only for them to have to see if they wanted to buy the movie. So back in the day, I just said this right here. So back in the day, they would send out screener copies of all kinds of films, especially ones that weren't very like well known, or they're trying to really push onto the mom and pop stores. And I guess any of the big box stores too at the time back in the 80s and 90s. And for them to pick up and, they can scream and say, yes, this is something my people in the community I live in, the city, the town I live in, the neighborhood will want to watch. I will go ahead and purchase one or two copies or whatever. It was not for resale purposes. They were technically, and the way they got around that was because they would put right here, screener, trailer is not for resale or sale. They, at the bottom of the movie, they would have a thing that comes across and says screener or not for resale. So the movie was kind of like handicapped, so to speak, with that little scrolling title at the bottom. It would pop up every like 5 or 10 minutes. So it was kind of a distraction to the film, so people would not sell that movie on the secondary market. But since then, these are kind of become collector's items, are hard to find because they weren't that many produced. It wasn't like 50,000 of these things are produced to make. They only made a handful of them and sent them out to the local markets. And then as you can see on here, it tells you what the cost is and what to expect. So here it says day and date on DVDs, $24.99. To order the DVD or VHS, you have to order it by January 23rd of 2002. The street date is February 12th. So it tells you all about it. So it says here, tailored on Amazon's and Gladiator. Oh, so Amazon and Gladiator's Fire Trap and the Ripper, Letters from Hell, I guess is what it says it's on. The trailers they have attached to this. So anyways, Henry Thomas is also in this, so there you go. And then last, but certainly not least, is this Video Treasures starring David Carradine, POW, The Escape. So there you go, POW, The Escape. Super excited here. Also, Mako is in this. Mako's in he's a Japanese-American actor. I believe he's Japanese-American. He was in like lots of Chuck Norris films. He always played like the Asian sage, like the Grand Master, some like some kind of sensei in movies. But Mako is in this. But the main thing is here you have David Carradine from Kung Fu. POW. This is obviously kind of gives you like a rip off of the Chuck Norris films, like missing in action and has the exact same like look right here as you can see. So David Carradine got in the mix of it. So there you guys go. That from Video Treasures, rated R. So there you go, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I know it went 30 minutes, but hey, I just had fun talking about the movies. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Let me know what you all think below. I got all these movies. I got spent like $22. So, what do you think? Any thoughts, impressions? Have you seen these movies in the past? What are your thoughts about the movies? Anything you've never seen on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. Maybe this is the only version you've ever seen it on. So, until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.